Hello. Welcome to Jarviskjir Here Be Heroes, the show that goes live with a series of strange and worrying gifts every week. I don't even do gifts for the other show. This is a Sunday original. I mean, we have to do it ever since we all did the same gif without collusion that week. That was magical. Hey, how you doing? It's Sunday. It's a fun day. It's actually, I mean, it's fucking Monday, but, you know, don't let the clocks tell you how to live your life, which is a topic of today with daylight savings time.
It feels
fucking daylight savings time.
Thankfully. Because if it was Monday, I would have to work. Which is depressing. As
a freelance millennial, I laugh at you.
Yeah.
Poorly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Reasonable.
Yeah. Where we left off, you guys went and explored the ogre problem. Found out that the ogres were being manipulated by neblings, which are a type of giant slave goblin. And that's all connected to everything. The fire giants seemingly are manipulating everything in this part of the world for domination, seemingly, as far as you can tell. So you decided to ignore that and climb the mountain to go see Barut's family, his people. But while going up there, you've heard that Mount Birth, a fortress town on top of the mountain, is under attack, and have turned your directions towards the mountain and are heading off towards Mount Birth. As we begin, because we have no Erin, because she is sick, Aenor is actually going to go off to your home village to defend it in case, because crazy shit's going on, and you're close enough to see it. Admittedly, your home, there's only really one mountain elf town that's permanent. There's occasionally towers and other things, but this is the mountain elf community, and it is so because it is kind of similarly to the ogres, built around a large rock of religious significance.
Get it.
Nice, got it.
Oh,
yeah.
you darn kids! They take pictures of me when I freeze, and that I don't like it. We're gonna get to episode 100, and there's gonna be like a montage at the start. Yeah.
Oh hell yeah.
That's the plan. I have a folder on my desktop just called Ollie Freeze.
Similar to what, Ollie?
Similar to the ogres, the mountain elf community is actually built around a giant rock of religious significance called Stag Rock. It actually kind of has antlers that branch out, and you can see it from here.
That's cool.
So Aenor's going to go off that way because everything's kind of fucky, and her specialty is protecting the innocent and healing them in case of danger. And you were told that you sort of, you know, the clerics and things went off to fight at Mount Birth. So there's assumedly no one protecting the weak who would be at the community center. So, with that, what's the plan? Are you just gonna trek off across the mountains towards Mount Birth?
I think that's what we should do.
I don't know of anything else we can really.
Well, we could go and deal with the whole fire giant problem at the lake.
Well, isn't this thing
I just wanted to let you say things before I decided what you were doing, but like as a DM, I wanted a pause.
They're attacking this
Let's
place.
go kick the hornet's nest.
Hashtag everything's connected.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, now we're just carrying this art piece around, though, too. Just obviously.
I was gonna point that out, and I didn't remember that when you were climbing the mountain. You do have a very large.
Would have given it to Aelinor to hold on to.
She will roll it disrespectfully towards the town because she ain't carrying that.
Yeah.
She can deal with the large plot object.
Yeah. We'll come back to the plot object We get sidetracked when Eleanor isn't here. We just happen to start.
That's
getting
true.
sidetracked.
So
And
leave her the
let's-
MacGuffin so that
Yeah.
it will be safe from any shenanigans. That's honestly very
That's
sensible.
actually really smart. Yeah.
How will you manage to get sidetracked this week? We will find out.
We're already sidetracked. Is the thing.
Not really.
I mean, a little bit.
Heading-
We started to get sidetracked, and then we got put back on course. But don't worry, it won't take long.
As we go, I'm definitely like Baruid. Let's get some Draconic on the go. Like, it's not that hard to learn another language, right?
How
Get the
smart are
class
you?
begun.
How smart are you, Tobias? On a scale of 1 to 20.
Like a 25, buddy. Are you kidding me?
All right, you start heading off towards Mount Birth. Brute, you know where it is. Can you actually give me a history check with advantage about the people of Mount Birth, just in sort of in general?
Yes.
Ooh, I had all my stuff set out, and then I had to restart my computer.
Hey, that's not too bad. 17.
I don't know how much of this I've told you, but considering it's relevant for literally this week, I will tell you more stuff now. The people of Mount Birth are called the Phoenix Bloods, but you might often call them just the people of Mount Birth. That's a little bit more of the Mountain Elf way of saying things. They do so because they are a religious order that believe that they are a group of humanity that was purified by a primordial phoenix. You actually see some parallels with like Aelinor and Tobias's faith, in they kind of worship this sort of elemental abstract being that has legends about it. They believe themselves to be the only pure beings on the world, so they don't have the best relations with other races, but they're not like they're not aggressive about it. You know, they will have a very brief like meetings with you as you share the mountains, and they're not against you at in any way, but they're just like, this is our faith. You are birthed by sin. That's just how it is. Though you do know that this is a community that has multiple tribes or sects, and currently the Tribe of Faith is in charge of the Phoenix Bloods and has been for a long time. It hasn't always been this way. When the mercantile tribes ruled this community long ago, as you've been told, they were trading much more, obviously. Other than that, you don't really know much, because you would have probably gone up to see the city before, but you wouldn't have been allowed in. You know, it's walled off. You're gonna see it awful soon. As you head off towards it, Mountain Elves don't have a lot in the way of infrastructure, but there are paths that have been traveled over and over and have been worn down, and one such goes straight along the tops of the mountains, because it's more or less sort of just like a ridge until it gets to Mount Birth, which is the biggest mountain in the mountain range. You're traveling that route. It's not easy, but it's not slow, because Tobias, being a northerner, is actually quite comfortable up here in the sharp, cold winds. It's not particularly snowy up here, but the wind is biting. Brute probably tells you quite happily that, you know, well, we're glad that we're here now. You know, a couple of weeks ago and this place would be caked in snow, you know. You've actually come at the time when the mountain starts thawing out, which does mean there are a lot of small rivers forming in parts of the mountains and waterways to cross, but none of you would fall in or do anything as silly as that. But you have a fucking long way to go to get towards the mountain. Several days of trek, in fact. It's after the first day. Oh, you're traveling across a fucking mountain line. Yeah. You took several days climbing up the mountain, to be fair.
Oh no, I believe.
Yeah.
You're just like a strong enough party that it's like, yeah, you're doing it. Don't worry about it. It's a couple of... It's the second day into your travels when Tobias would be the one to see something. Other than sometimes seeing wildlife, And it's actually a very wildlife-filled mountain, unlike a lot of the ones back in the north, because it's a slightly more temperate environment with less humans. You see something that is clearly unnatural. What you see before you, sort of scouting the road that lines on top of the mountain, seem to be 3 balls of fire, which are all you can really see from this far away. They're floating around as if they're looking around. Now, you would see this at, like, you know, the edge of your vision, probably from a slight height and vantage point, because you're fucking Tobias Otzland.
I'm gonna, like, stop and kind of, like, put a hand on these guys and just be like, there's a couple fireballs up there.
I'm sorry, what?
What do they appear magical?
You guys can give me perception checks if you want to see more than just...
They're fucking fireballs, bro. What do you... they're just looking around.
I love how
I
we're
don't
the
see
same,
anything.
but yours was an 81.
Yeah. You know, the Wednesday show had a fuck ton of nat 20s on it, and I'm starting to think that they may have stolen our luck.
I could have ignored 1-1. I can't ignore
Oh,
2-1.
it wasn't me this time, guys.
You know what? If
Both
Eleanor
of-
was here, we might have gotten 3. We could have gotten a hat trick.
I mean, I still got the same as you when you got a 1.
Yes. Yeah.
You're
I do have a
here
+7, but
Seeing these things ahead of you in the road, and the only other option Barut would tell you be, you know, going around, which would mean going on a much more difficult, slower track, and there apparently is a siege. You know, you need to get quickly. So you go and find a little bit more of a higher vantage point. There's actually a kind of ratty, wind-rattled tree that's sort of on one of these rocky outcroppings that Tobias starts climbing. And Brute's like, oh, that's a great idea. And as you walk
I
up
know it.
over there,
That's why I'm doing it.
there's a crunch and a rumble, and the rocks, the mountain tops that you're all standing on, starts to rumble and slide down the mountain. There's a sharp rush of wind as you realize that this is happening. What do you do?
Sorry, just to clarify, where are we standing exactly right now?
On a large chunk of rock that was once sort of a cliff coming off the mountain, but is now currently sliding down the mountain. It's currently sliding. At some point, it will launch.
Yeah, I'm gonna try and throw a rope to Virik, who's still up top.
Virik is also on this rock.
God damn it, Virik! Why did you come with
it's
us?
it's like a Tom and Jerry thing. You're like, oh, only this bit, but like the whole thing is unweighted by this. Which honestly, you actually are quite heavy in all your armor, something we often forget.
Uh-huh.
And you also
at any point in dim light.
you're on top of a mountain during the
The
day.
answer is no. Why was that a question? Okay, first of all,
Worth a shot.
okay, just asking, around us on the sides of the mountain, are there things to grab onto?
There might be at some point, it's a craggy, rocky mountain, but this is also the side of the mountain where rock slides happen. So, yes, but few and far between. Your best bets would be these occasional sort of trees that manage to live out here. I am giving you a bit of, DM leeway to think of something to try and do.
I'm going to grab my short sword and rope.
Yeah.
Get ready to throw it. I'll give one end to Brute to tie to himself.
Yep.
'Cause
Doing it.
I think I can jump off myself. At least I hope I can.
I'm going to reach into the bag
It's going to hurt you a lot, but it might save you.
and pull out a potion of climbing.
So you're the
I
smart.
fucking have one as well. I'm gonna drink a potion of climbing.
You also gonna drink your potion?
I'm gonna drink my potion, yeah. Well, there's 2 in the bag, now there's 1.
Exactly, yeah.
Give the other one to Virik, real
Do you
quick.
want the other one?
You know
Just
what?
didn't-
I'm offering it to you.
If there was a time to use it, it's now.
Yeah.
Okay.
You all three of you swig your bright green potions of climbing. You taste the minty
I feel like
freshness.
While we're sliding
And then the bottle like launches out of your hand because of how fast you're moving down the mountain.
Yeah. Oh. All
So,
right.
Viveric, the plan is to jump off while holding the short sword. The plan is to throw the rope.
I want to throw the
Around
rope,
one
then
of the
jump
trees
off.
is what he's
I want to try and get the rope with the short sword around a tree.
Okay.
If
First
failing
of
that,
all-
I'm going to jump off with it.
First of all, perception check.
This is where I get like
Can I help him with
natty
this?
one.
Not really. This happens.
Doesn't matter.
This
It's
is all
fine.
too fast for that kind of thing.
Yep.
Second,
I've done this before.
range attack roll.
I'm also grabbing onto Tobias.
Oh, I thought you were going to do something way more sensible. Never mind.
Oh.
Thirdly, acrobatics roll. Okay.
Whew, okay.
Setting of the scene. The whole rock sort of chunk that you're on starts sliding down the mountain. Slowly at first, but then gaining more and more speed. You all grab your potions of healing, clink them together, and take a mighty swig. You spin the rope attached short sword and try and swing it at one of the nearby trees. You actually see one, and it looks proper fucking secure. There's elves on this mountain. That's a fucking strong elven tree. You know it. You launch. It's kind of moving way too fast for you to know if it's secured in any way, shape, or form, but you don't feel any sort of actual secureness, but it's already left your hands. Barut is the one tied to that. So you don't know if it hit or not. All you know is you have to do everything at once, so you leap off and manage to grab onto a part of the side of the mountain here. You are going to take some hefty fall damage, but how does your monk
If it's
ability
fall
work? Yeah,
Yes,
it's fall damage. Technically, you're like falling sideways, but half. Oh well,
You guys-
equal to 5 times your monk level.
We're so much more involved than what I was planning to do.
So,
Well, you might
25
still need to do it.
reduction.
My
Okay.
plan was to just yell really loud, go into a barbaric rage, and jump
Wait, no,
off
30 damage.
first
You
thing
might still
off.
need to do that.
That's what I'm going to do.
And I am going to be following suit very quickly.
Yeah, 30 damage. Okay, cool.
Yeah, go,
30 damage
what?
reduction.
That's really good because there was 31 damage you took. So, what's kind of amazing in that, in all of this happens very quickly, and you didn't really have time to, you know, you're a thief. You actually benefit quite well from just a few moments of prep time. But your training, your natural reflexes allow you to kind of roll and take the hits and avoid the more brutal effects of crashing into a rock side. Unfortunately, in a couple of moments afterwards, you take a breath, you can really no longer see them. Rope or whatever. They are just sliding down, and it's this mixture of snow and rock dust and water in the air that's... all you know is that you're safe.
Yeah,
You two.
Take a breath and
I am casting enhance
What the
ability
hell?
on both myself and Tobias.
Okay.
Just to start off there, and specifically, I think I'm going to give Tobias. Oh, this is a tough choice. I was gonna say Cat's Grace, I think, because he already has advantage on the strength checks. But you know what, Tobias, Bear's Endurance or Cat's Grace?
You don't have time to talk.
I was gonna say I don't think we really have time for this.
I'm just asking because I'm giving myself Bear's Endurance 100% because I want the extra health.
I'm already giving you a bunch of leeway. Choose.
All right, I'm doing it for both of us. Whatever. It's one
Which
spell,
one?
anyways.
Which one was it?
Bear's Endurance.
Oh, the format of this fucked up. Constitution. All right, great.
And also 2d6 temporary hit points.
So you said that your plan.
You get 11 temporary hit points.
That's important. You said your plan, Tobias, was to rage and just jump off.
Yeah.
Okay. In which
Grab
case,
something and
both
try
of you give me acrobatics or athletics checks.
I'll do athletics because I have advantage.
Yeah. Now it's very fitting. Let's first describe Tobias.
Oh dear.
Knowing that this would be an amazing death even if you die, but deciding to choose life in this moment, you take the tiniest run up on the falling chunk of rock and leap. You crunch into the mountainside, no idea knowing where any of your friends are, but the potion of climbing allowing you to sort of adhese to the side of the mountain much better than you'd have any other chance to. You are going to take damage, but it's going to be halved because you're raging. I just have to remember how to add. Hey, guess what? It's also 31 damage. So half that. You know, you slam into the side of the mountainside, and it fucking wins you horribly. But through the anger, you just even like keep climbing for a couple of seconds before you start to breathe. Now, herein lies the brute of it all.
Oh no.
Gonna land in a hornet.
You leap off. You leap off the chunk of rock. Actually, your jump is pretty good. You have heavy armor that makes you not quite as dexterous, but you have the potion of climbing and you've used them before. All you know is that, like fucking Spider-Man, you just need to like get your hands on the rock. And just as you reach, you feel the rope connected to you grow taut, and you are whisked. Sort of
Well, sorry, I tried.
swung. Because if you sort of imagine it, you guys were like here. The tree was here, so now you're like swung like this. Now you actually are gonna take fucking damage from just the rope tightening in this situation, because it's gonna like crunch your insides.
Like a tube of toothpaste.
I'm
So
sorry, I was trying to
you take 17 bludgeoning damage from just that moment where you realize, oh no, right? Then you swing. If you want to try and control this in any way, either acrobatics or athletics, or because you did use Bear's Endurance, just a fucking Constitution save to just try and take it. You know, fucking take the hit, but also secured to the mountain on the end. You know.
You know what? I have the advantage on the Constitution checks, so I'm gonna go.
It does seem very Barut to be like, this is happening. It's going to happen.
Oh god, that's just not great.
Similar to Virik. This is like sideways fall damage. Unfortunately, you fell a lot further because of the rope.
Yeah.
This is like a math problem, right? It's a 50-foot rope.
Yep.
You swing, so you're swinging at least 50 feet. Let's just put it at a nice clean 70.
You have to consider the angle at which the rope connects with the mountainside.
Barut has X amount of ribs.
I'm guessing
After
what happened.
swing.
I missed the tree, and then the rope just hooked onto something while it was going down.
Potentially.
It wouldn't matter what you would have attacked. It doesn't matter. It hit something. You know?
Which is
If
the
it hit
important-
nothing, it wouldn't matter. Well, it would matter, but less. Much less.
Well, it would matter in the sense that Burrow would be falling to his death at the moment.
It would matter in that it would be an extra weight.
So technically speaking, what is the angle of the rope?
Look, we're
from
not
the
doing
end?
the math. I'm just rolling dice.
Well, what I'm saying is that's the length of rope you actually need to calculate.
What's the angle of the dangle?
I don't need to know the angle of Daniel of Barut, please. Thank you.
By the way, I love the image of just like after Virik lands, he was the first to jump off. He just starts, starts running down the mountain, trying to follow this giant rock sliding down.
So you take 37 bludgeoning damage. Are you still conscious?
I have 1 health.
Yes! You...
Temporary HP!
When I described Tobias crunching against the wall and being winded. This is like a whole other thing. You have this whole moment where, let's be honest, Barut probably like comes to term with life in that moment. He like does the math very quickly and is like, oh, this isn't good. As you're swung, you actually can see quite clearly, because this is outside of the sort of rubble, that you are attached to the tree. The rope kind of like lodged into the tree and it's kind of creaking and bending. You slam into the side of the rock. You feel just everything inside your torso crunch forward against the black dark steel of your armor. There's a horrible noise, and all of you hear. Barut doesn't hear it because he's like broken right now. You two hear the noise of just. It's like a frickin' blacksmith's anvil. Just this metal on rock noise that is given extra. You're given extra bass considering all the bones that are crunched in this moment. But, however, potion of climbing. You do adheres to the mountainside. I mean, slowly sliding down, but enough to stay for that brief moment. You absolutely do not have any sort of strength to climb up in any way. You just are sort of there.
Tobias, rope.
Mr. Virik and Tobias, can you guys give me perception checks? You didn't see this. You're in a rubble cloud.
Maybe I can.
Yes. Oh, fucking Tobias, my hero.
Virik would like hear this and find Tobias and be like, Barut? Tobias saw this whole thing quite clearly, kind of knowing that Barut was likely to fuck up. You see this whole thing, you can rush over to him, you can help him up as he's muttering prayers to himself to reinflate his lungs with his last breaths.
Honestly,
I am in this moment. I imagine, just because of you guys actually knowing how you would like freaking tear the armor off of him, which is completely busted. That breastplate is, I mean, it's like mostly blood now. You know, it's flat. Yeah, you were flat for a moment there. Yep. You just kind of throw that aside and check that he's okay, and he's conscious, and he's like a big bruise, but he's alive.
I'm going to find some of that dwarven whiskey that I've got and just start feeding it to him. Like,
He'll take the bottle from you and just chug as much as possible.
Like that time, like when you see someone who's like so not okay, but all you can do is just like rub their back and be like, "You're fine, you're fine."
You realize he's gonna have what happened to Virik happen, where he's just gonna get drunk real fast because he's.
He hasn't. Well, Barut hasn't lost a lot of blood.
Oh,
he's
okay.
just. He's mostly. It's mostly bone damage, not blood damage.
The bleeding was all on the inside, which is where it's supposed to be.
That does sound like a mountain elf mentality.
I kind of want to like just give myself a once over with a medicine check here.
Please do.
Oh, I mean that's like better than I expected, given I just fell off a mountain.
I'm not going to go into the incredible nitty-gritties.
Yeah.
But considering this entire situation, you're going to be walking around with 3 points of exhaustion, essentially, from just the severity of that injuries that you've only survived due to the strength of will that you have from all your adventures. Hey, can all of you do perception checks? Hey, by the way, Brute, you have exhaustion. That's disadvantage on, like, everything.
Oh, no.
Yep. No, it's just disadvantage on literally everything in half.
At 3,
yeah.
Just keep that disadvantage toggle on.
I actually don't use a toggle.
How dare you, you monster.
Yeah,
Wait,
no, I use a query, but I click it every time.
You did 2 perception
I
checks.
clicked the roll button by twice by accident.
One of them.
Not 20 and a 1, but the first one.
The first one counts, yeah.
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 Varric in this
Burn
moment
on that
is
second fucking
you know,
one.
Brute like manages to sort of like sit up in a way, which is the worst thing to do. There's kind of a grinding noise inside, which is not good.
Oh.
And Varric would be like, just like, you okay, buddy? Like, he's like blue, like a purpley. He's got like Varric's skin tone on his chest and face and everywhere at this point.
Do I have time to cast another spell on myself?
Yes, yeah,
Specifically
you absolutely do. Tobias, you look around and you see up on the top of the mountain those 3 fiery orbs. You look at them a little clearer and they look like eyes. They look like kind of an obsidian eye with fire all around them, and they're looking at the lot of you. And then they kind of seem... It's like a couple of seconds after you notice them. And you actually notice that there's runes in giant along the obsidian of the center, even though the center of the orb is like maybe 6 inches big. You just see that fucking well when you're like all adrenaline anyway. They start whisking away towards the north, the way you're going. You start sort of bobbing and moving as they sort of float away. Quite quickly. Very quickly, actually.
I'm just gonna look to Varric and be like, we need to move and get in some cover and deal with it.
Fuck.
Because those things, there's someone watching us from up there.
How
I
many
can
of those
walk.
health potions do you have in your bag?
How many health potions? I think we have like 9. Yeah.
Maybe he should
We
have
also
a
have a
couple.
potion of toe.
Don't-
You know what that does now. You know what that does, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a potion of
Don't give me
halfling
that.
form.
I don't-
If we turn him into a halfling, then we need
No,
to
let's
give him
not
less
rearrange
healing
him inside
potions.
while he's that
Look,
like this. It'll be bad.
It's
It'll
not
be
the
a grind.
time to be changing my height or my weight.
It was just a question. Speaking of weight, like, I don't know. Hold back on a
Do you think that would like repair his gear? Because like his gear turns into like halfling stuff as well. Would it like if he's wearing it? Would it just be the same broken as a halfling? Or
I'm gonna feed
let's
you.
talk
a
about the
health
slave.
potion.
Okay.
I'm gonna feed you a health potion.
Bring my breastplate, please. It's broken, but I might be able to repair it. Maybe, probably not. But I
Regular health potion is 2d4 plus
2d4 plus 2. Thank you.
Hey! And what's the plan? Where are you moving to?
With my perception, am I able to see like any type of overhang or something?
I will say, considering you got a nat 20, that you find actually below the tree that you can see there's a rope. One of the first things you would have removed is the rope tied around him. That is now a nice big, like the bruise is worse in this rope, like rope burn. Kind of under that tree, an underhang where like the roots kind of like arc down and around. Like Brute, in a better mood, would tell you, like, yeah, this is a place that's significant to the mountain elves in the area because it's like nature's thriving and surviving. Right now, it's like, but that would be a safe place from the wind and the elements and vision from atop the mountain. So you can kind of like drag him over that way a couple of feet. Get him under there where the wind is much, is diluted, and can prop him up. It's actually quite a big space. It's a big fucking tree. So, there's clearly signs that people have camped out under here before. The rocks are a little shaped. There's remains of fire and stuff like that.
I don't really need to rest at the moment.
I mean, same, but
No. I'm
Like
saying he rest and I watch.
okay.
Because he only needs 4 hours. Hopefully. Actually, probably a little bit more.
I
Looking over at him,
think
probably a lot more.
I would like to rest for several days. I know that that's not an option.
I'm just gonna take like the blanket from my camping kit in the bag and just like put it over him, like including his head, and just go to sleep.
Sleep.
Like a parrot.
Yeah, like a bird. Just it's nighttime.
All right, long rest.
I guess so.
If you want to be keeping watch, you two, both of you give me perception checks.
Okay. I'm either going to be really good or really bad at it based on the past several rolls.
Yep.
Hey, I'll take that.
You're doing good at perception. Hey, pretty bad. Tobias, your focus right now is food. I mean, you notice that, you know that after that bad an injury, you need some good eating. You know, from just scuffing your knee when you were a kid to being slammed into the side of a mountain. Good eating is the way to cheer it up. So you know, being a ranger, you get X amount of food, but that's really what you're focused on. And actually, like I said, there's a lot of wildlife and plant life on top of this mountain. You actually go and hunt manfalope, which Barut, if he was awake, would tell you is actually quite hard to do. They are fucking springy as shit. They are golden deer that have big ears that jump up the mountains. So the fact you managed to sneak up with one and like fucking take one out and lug it back up the mountain is very impressive. Virik, as the day turns to night, you kind of look around. Do you wander a little bit because you're a Virik, but never too far? You actually notice something that you wouldn't have been able to notice during the day. In the darkness, you see the flashing of a kind of red light on the very edge of your vision. And it's not dark vision, it's just you see it in the darkness. Lower down the mountain, but in the direction you want to go. So if you imagine like you're going north, this is northward, but there's like this red flashing. It seems to be every 15 seconds or so, and then it pauses for sometimes hours, and then there's like, and then it continues again.
Interesting. I have
The more you look at it, because you probably sit there quite fascinated, you know, it appears to be almost like a line of light going from somewhere on the mountain further up the mountain.
Oh, so
somewhere
like,
on a mountainside up to nearest the top.
Like sort of, it goes like that. Okay.
It's much, yeah. I mean, it's far enough, too far away to see for sure, but like you can kind of like just as you see more and more, you get more and more used to it.
Okay, I'm gonna make sure I'm sitting back with a sleepy Barut, and just sort of make sure I watch that direction intently.
When you're in your camp, you can't even see it because it's so far away. It was only when you like walked up, because that is very far away, you know.
When Tobias gets back, I'll describe it to him, being like, I have no idea what that could possibly be.
Ask him when he wakes up.
Yeah. Why do you have to be the one that's asleep?
Barut will wake up.
He's also the one who wears heavy armor and has no athletic skill.
You're not wrong.
Barut will wake up early in the morning the next day. I mean, you started your rest at like 4 p.m. or so, you know. Barut just like sleeps through the night into a bit of the morning before waking up, and hey, there's meals there for you. There's food. There's a kill. And I imagine Tobias, like out of boredom, just like treated some of the golden hide because it's, you know, it's a cool looking fur.
Absolutely. Like,
you can figure out your plan.
When it comes to the meat, like cook it, but try to keep the fire really small and contained as to try to not draw any attention.
Slow cooking.
Yeah, but we have the time apparently. So.
It will exactly.
Levels of exhaustion work.
You remove one after every long rest.
Cool.
Unless you have some kind of horrible disease or whatever. But this is one of those ones where, like, yeah, you are slowly getting some strength back every night.
Yeah. Okay.
Buddy,
Ouch.
Face hurts.
I'm gonna hand you like a flat rock that has like some food on it and be like, here.
Thank you.
Your face looks like it hurts.
So your armor, just like next to you in like a pile, the pieces that I can find.
Yeah, it's something you would have noticed. Where I imagine Virik would have taken the armor off of Barut when he kind of passed out. That armor, all of it is fucked. You know, you had to like pry parts off, and the buckles and things that keep it together are just crunched. It's definitely salvageable if you had a blacksmith. I imagine you just kind of put it all in a pile in the camp and worry about that another time.
Fine.
There was also a thing last night, Brew. That away, and I'm gonna point in the direction it was.
North.
It was like, yeah, there was.
I'll give you an
light.
I'll give you an extra detail. It was on the east side of the mountain. I forgot to tell you. You would have noticed that because you are on the east side of the mountain.
I will say that. And it was like a line of light that would flash, and then stop for a while, and then flash again a couple times, and then stop for a while. And I don't have any idea what that could be.
Do I have any idea what that is, Ollie?
You can give me a history roll, I suppose.
Sending signals of some kind, maybe?
This is an ability check, yes?
Yes, but you only have 2 points of exhaustion right now. But your ability checks are disadvantaged. Yes, I thought it was the other way around for a second. No, yeah, your attack rolls are fine.
18.
The Phoenix Bloods use fire magic. The most holy of their society have Phoenix Blood. So if it was a red flash, but then fire giants. You actually know that fire giants are a crafting caste from when giant society was much bigger and better, and they would particularly craft military gear. The sort of pattern he describes makes you think of a siege engine. The way it kind of rhythmically seems to light up. I mean, you'd have to get a closer look, even at the light, but that would probably be where your mind would go, ruminating on it for a bit of time.
My first thought was fire magic from the Phoenix Bloods, the people of Mount Earth, but fire giants? Siege engine. Possibly, based on the rhythmic nature. You know, that sounds terrible, but that's the most likely case.
Oh. Okay, then. That's not good.
But none of this is good. I don't know if you've noticed. Everything is just awful at the moment.
Yep. I don't like the mountains.
Yes, well. Some parts are better than others.
Hopefully I get to see the other parts eventually.
Yes, well.
You gotta be alive for that.
I mean, there's a reason why I left in the first place.
What's the plan for today?
Those fireballs, though, with the eyes, were watching us again. That's why we came under here.
Yeah. So they know we're here, or we're coming.
You know what that's about? They had runes, obsidian giant runes carved into them.
So they're probably the fire giants. They're probably scouting to make sure that no reinforcements are coming down the road.
That makes sense. Well,
That's
on the bright side, they probably think we're dead.
I mean, they saw us
alive.
That was after.
Yeah, but you looked pretty dead.
This is true.
You're not wrong. I did look pretty dead. I imagine I still do look pretty dead, really.
You look less alive than you usually do.
Yeah.
That's quite a feat.
But I mean, that's not really saying too much. Just kidding.
No, I mean, it's fair enough.
Let's carry onward then, but we should be careful. If they're watching the roads, we should try to be stealthy.
Did you keep that scale mail I gave you in one of the bags?
Yeah, actually, I have it just over my shoulder in the bag.
Good.
Oh, I guess you might need that, eh?
I think I might need it, yes.
Cool.
It's fine, you have a point in Barbarian, you get to carry around spare shit.
Yeah,
Them's the rules.
Yeah. Alright, I'm gonna just put that scale mail on. Over my very bruised torso. And
it hurts.
yeah.
You also realize how ill-fitting it was after having like a finely crafted suit of armor to this ramshackle thing that is missing chunks of it now because you've used them to make the new armor, but it works.
Yep. It'll do.
It'll do. And you said, do you want to stealth further towards the Mount Birth? It will slow your speed down by half.
I think it's
My
probably a good idea.
Already slowed by half, so it would take it to a quarter, probably.
Oh.
Right?
Which might mean you two might want to stealth ahead of a slow Barut because he can't move very fast right now.
I think that's probably a good idea.
Best of both worlds, right?
Well,
The reasonable choice.
here's
I
the
will not be
thing,
stealthing.
actually. I can move at a normal speed while stealthing if I'm by myself.
So you sneak ahead while
I
Virik...
can go ahead and then come back
Yeah,
and
if
meet
you
up with
come back
them
and
at
tell
the
me-
half speed that Baruit's traveling.
Yeah,
And
if
so
you
I can
come
scout
back
half a
and
day
tell-
ahead.
Yeah, if you come back and tell us that there's something we need to stealth past, I can make him more stealthy
Yeah,
for when we need to go past that.
Okay,
sounds good.
in which case... I want Tobias to give me a stealth roll.
Here we go.
And then a perception roll.
Don't fuck with the modifier.
Right.
Okay.
Fuck.
You start to operate this plan. Barut is not good at walking right now.
General, but
You know, I imagine you try and find like a big fucking stick to use as a walking stick and hobble yourself along. Does look like Barut is like a good century or two older. But you start walking. Unfortunately, the weather is not great. It doesn't really affect you guys much, other than I am talking and you are frozen. Unfortunately, the weather is not particularly that great. You can't really see much below the paths you're taking due to cloud cover. You can't really see super far forward. You never notice, any more of those scouting orbs, at least for the first little bit of your travel. And you end up traveling a good deal before it's time to rest, which would you probably try to rest a little bit earlier. Can you give me a survival roll to find a good resting spoot? That's real good. That's real
Why do you need to get it on too?
Yeah,
Like,
right.
Awesome. You notice a semi-natural seeming cave. I say semi because it seems like at some point something like an ogre would have lived in here. But you actually scout out the whole cave, Tobias, and there's nothing bad in here. In fact, it's actually kind of nice. You know, it's warm away from the wind. There's actually like patches of a hearty fungus in here that because you're just like, oh, what's this? It's all pretty good, and you actually find like chunks of gold. It seems that there's like a vein of gold that runs through this area. That, I mean, whatever lived here. I mean, your first thought was probably he's like ogre because it's like fairly big, you know, stone slabs moved around, but who knows? Something mined a little bit of this gold and made a little bit of a place here, and is the perfect place to camp out for the night. So you would do so. You get to enjoy this hearty fungus. It's the best among us, and
maybe try and get a chunk of gold.
you can straight up. There's like some of it on the ground. You can just heft up. This is a long one. I think everything might be screwed today. Oh no. Let me check my internet. Oh no. Oh dear. So, if you're watching on YouTube, everything decided to go all pear-shaped. I'm gonna, you know, it'll probably be back, right? Probably.